Hello, and welcome to another edition of Straight from the Training Ground, the podcast where we share our love for the beautiful game and the people out in their communities doing beautiful things. This is another part of our American soccer culture series, which we're very excited to bring to you this summer, talking about the soccer culture in a lot of different cities and communities, culminating this summer at the Columbus Crew, who are hosting the MLS All-Star Game. We're very excited to have Ty Phillips with us here this week from the Columbus Crew. Ty, thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, appreciate you guys having me on.
Ty, real quick, first of all, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about your own background in soccer and your role with the Columbus Crew?
Yeah, so Ty Phillips, my title here is Manager of Fan Culture and Development. I like to say the easy way to explain what I do is anything that a fan would touch or ingest when it comes to the Columbus Crew, myself and team are typically having hand in it. So it could be anything from what you experience on match day to even outside of the stadium, like our grassroots, our watch parties, even some of the retail and merchandise. So pretty much if you're a fan and you feel something from the Columbus Crew, someone from my side has touched it. But it's neat to be able to work for this club as someone who's actually born and raised in this city. It's very unique. I've been here now, 34 years. So I've seen it all. Remember it when they were at the OSU Stadium back in the day. Remember when Montfrey opened up, or now historic Crew Stadium. I did play soccer growing up. I actually was like a late adopter. I played like just for fun as a kid, but like formally started playing around, I think, age 10 to 12. So a little bit later, but loved the game. Was able to find like my space and find myself as a young kid in Columbus, Ohio. Like that was my sport. Did end up playing a little bit in college, not too long ago. And I knew that once I was done with school, I wanted to be around soccer in some shape or fashion. And was blessed to be able to have a ton of friends who were in the soccer industry, whether players that I knew growing up or execs. And I was able to use a lot of my background in sports marketing to kind of find my way here. So it's really unique to right now be able to build something really cool in the city that I grew up in.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So what attracted you to Columbus Crew and I guess the soccer culture in general?
So, I mean, especially as an adult, it's neat to work in it now, especially because I've been able to see that Columbus has had chapters when it comes to the culture here. You know, I like to say the pre 2002 World Cup. It was very much so straight up pay to play, straight up just suburban. And if you knew, you knew, right? I think 2002 for a lot of the people my age and above kind of brought soccer into the mainstream in Columbus. It did help that we had two of the players. Well, wait, was Frankie with us at the time? I know McBride was around, but I don't think Frankie was yet. Either or, though, we had Brian McBride. We had him as like our connection.
Why am I blanking on Frankie?
Frankie Hayden.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's Olympian, World Cup player. He played for the Columbus Crew for quite a bit. But that run that the team did woke up a lot of markets, right? And we having that tie also brought it home, and we had the Dos Aceros happening here. I feel like that was kind of like to be the rebirth, right? And then when it comes to being a Columbus Crew fan, we've gone through some, ebbs and flows and shape shifting is what I'll say. But the new evolution now, once we've had the new ownership come on, there's been this like supercharged momentum with the team. We can see it, everything from what we're doing here at the Crew, positioning ourselves as leaders in the league, but you're also seeing intentional efforts by us to be a part of the soccer conversation in Columbus. And it's been neat to see it from everything. Like we've got street leagues now. We've got these, urban spaces that we've made for soccer. You've got pickup happening everywhere across the city. And that just wasn't what it was years ago. So for me, it's really cool to be able to kind of take a step back and realize like the Columbus Crew is now a part of the soccer conversation in Columbus. And it's really cool for me to be a part of that.
That's awesome. And that's what I think is missing in a lot of markets. And that's why I'm super curious in talking to you, because I know for me in Grand Rapids and places, there isn't that kind of, and I'm wondering if it's your success that kind of has influenced the culture the same way that Columbus had. How much of a testament do you give that to the success that Columbus Crew had back in the beginning to being able to impact that culture?
So are we speaking like current state culture, or are we just talking the general overall?
The city's culture, just primarily Columbus.
Yeah. So I mean, transparently, I would say this is the first time in our club's history where we are almost synonymous with soccer. And I think you can even speak to this as well. Like soccer players have always been here in Columbus, right? But we not necessarily always aligned with the crew. So there was always pockets of soccer that would happen continuously, whether it be in the ethnic community, whether it be in the suburban community, but it was always its own thing. You had people who would watch, soccer overseas, their international teams, but it was never really connected to the crew. Even when I started playing, I was around the crew, watched them, right? But I fell into it by someone who was from Ethiopia and was coaching, and would just have all of us and kids playing, and then he would teach us while we played out in the streets. It wasn't connected to it at all. I think where it's at now is really with the success we have and the intentional work that the club is doing to tie ourselves to soccer in Columbus, right? Now you see a pathway. Now you see the characters and the I hate to make it so cheesy, but the cool stuff that Columbus is doing.
Yeah.
You can almost tie it to the cool things you're doing while they're on the streets or on the pitch out, at Westerville or whatever. You could see yourself playing one day in this really cool stadium. You could see yourself one day high-fiving a Cucho. There's just different lanes that weren't available when I was growing. And I think that's why this time period is really cool.
That is, and that's different. And that's what I'm trying to get to. How do you, my experience, I'm going to speak candid with the MLS, the fan isn't necessarily a soccer player. A lot of the times when I imagine what the fan is for an MLS team, it's kind of that craft beer market per se. How have you guys, do you feel like your fan culture and your player culture is different, or is it now a little bit, the identity is coming a little bit more together?
So I think the statement you said earlier was accurate a couple of years ago. I think for Columbus, we were seen as something really cool to do, right? We've become significantly cooler in those times, but in Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, people are really fans of the city. And then what happens is whatever cool thing the city is doing or whatever that sports team is doing, then you become a fan of it. But the way that we've shifted the soccer culture here, we have a club that plays really attractive football. We've got a coach that is absolutely incredible, right? We've got the players that have the personality that you talk of outside of the match day. I think about how the difference between, again, first we say it's all respect, love both of these players, right? Gyasi and Cucho. Gyasi, absolutely phenomenal player, phenomenal human, right? Personality is also amazing, right? But then you have someone like Cucho who brings the bravado and swagger that the kids are waiting to see from an Mbappe overseas or someone else. It just becomes a different way of engaging. I think about when I was growing up, the person that got me fully into soccer was Ronaldinho. He kind of was breaking all the YouTube records and showing off the flair, and it became a cool thing, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when Ronaldinho's playing, you have Claudio Reyna holding it down, right? Yeah. You've got even John O'Brien playing some of the best football with his left foot. That wasn't the cool thing. So you needed that person, Ronaldinho, to spark that imagination. And I think that's what the league and our club is doing better. I mean, across the league now, you can point to almost every team and say who's the guy, right? I remember when Atlanta came online, I wasn't sure if that was going to work, but you had such personality with Josef. Josef was pretty much built for Atlanta. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think Cucho in a way for us is the same way. So kids can look at that and see the cool things that he's doing and seeing the passion he brings in the field and pull up his highlights. And that's makes it cooler. Now, taking it from that fanhood side of it to the soccer player side, we know that Columbus is a soccer city, right? A lot of us are kind of, I'll say, married to the soccer we grew up with, which would have probably been EPL or international. It's about proving that the Columbus Crew can be also associated with world-class football. And that has us showing up in different spaces, whether it be on Saturday during the match or whether it be collaborating with our youth soccer teams across the region, or even showing up in the community when soccer is the conversation, that we are the ones leading the charge with our mini pitches or being inside the school system. It's just making sure that we, as cool as we are showing up where people want to see us. And I think the soccer community is taking note of that.
And I think you said a lot of key points. First of all, I think exactly what you're saying. If you can be where the players are and provide for the players, that's how you ingrain yourself with the players. Another thing that I find super attractive is the fact that your city kind of has that grit and that determination to say, yeah, we're playing with the big leagues and we want to be recognized as someone that's a staple within the game. I think that's something that the American spirit would get behind, rather than say, oh, we're this MLS, whatever. But if you come here and say, no, we're a Columbus Crew, we're different, this is who we are, we got our own identity. That's that game changer right there, to where if I'm a fan, I'm like, I'm getting behind this because they have that spirit that I want to see.
I think as an American soccer in general, right? We love a good story. We love, we love passion, we love hard work. We love kind of anything that kind of showcases that quote unquote American spirit. And I believe the Crew does that. Columbus is a melting pot of a city. We are, we're not New York and we're not LA, right? But we are our own. No one else is like us. We're hardworking. We're industrious. We are a team and club that like moves forward. And I think people like resonate with that, especially in our city. And I think even outside of the city, we're starting to become your casual fans team. Even like if you're a person that just loves the sport and you're not trying to do the Miami thing or the big names in LA, but just want a team that represents you, but with some pizzazz. That's us.
That's awesome.
So we're showing up in the right spaces. I think about when my late 20s, when you started to see social media take off, right? And you started to see players across the world start to embrace it really well. It's neat now seeing us be able to engage that space with quality content, quality stories, and quality players. I think we're being ingested by the correct audiences now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ty, I thought also, I like how you brought up here, our podcast, and what Michael and I are very passionate about is providing soccer opportunities for all kids, club obviously, and the pay to play model, but also, kids in the streets, kids in lower economic areas, different ethnicities. That's what we're all about. And I loved how you brought up the point about Cucho, and how I think, like you said, he kind of brings that flair and that excitement to kids of all different cultures, that can really look up to someone and get attached to the team. I know, being in the Columbus area myself, a little bit about what you guys have done to connect, build those connections within the city at all levels between, high school, club, and then at the street levels, even like you said. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what you guys have done with the Columbus Crew, and then maybe even like what you would like to, foresee in the future, how to continue that?
So I think one of the things that the club is intentionally doing right now to build the spaces, especially at the youth level, the youth network was huge. Obviously, Columbus has been, actually the Ohio region has been known for just strong teams. Now that we have solidified our space here and that, we'll be in this city, reaching back out to create bonds with these clubs, it was huge. You want all of your quote unquote pay to play or select to be able to have that opportunity going forward. But even past that, the grassroots stage, just learning how to teach people how to play the sport. I sometimes look at the NBA, right? Super easy pathway. You're a kid, you grow up, there's a court probably within a mile or two where you live, anywhere you're at in Columbus, right? It's easy to go out there. It's easy to see the culture around it. The old heads are out around it, and they're talking about the days they used to play. You got the young bucks coming up that you want to be like, and you got you and your friends playing. You're trying to aspire to be that. And with all that coming together, it's packaged up somewhere else with your professional team that you follow. So you can see this pathway. Yeah. I think with us building these mini pitches and activating them, and the same thing, like there's players like myself now that have been around that will go back and just play. And there's kids who want to watch us play. There's spaces right now that we're actually intentionally bringing to life with programming or bringing our players around to help almost connect that life. And Michael, you and I talked about like the M1 mixtapes back in the day, or even like Rucker Park. Those moments for us in soccer live in other parts of the world, right? Like in Brazil, in Argentina, in Portugal, the street soccer lives like that. You can easily tie it together. I think Columbus is doing a really good job of finally like bringing soccer programming outside of the traditional pitch into the world on the street in futsal. And that's where we're kind of like trying to dig deep to start that conversation.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a 100%. I think the basketball culture is exactly kind of what we want to emulate if we want to get to that next level in soccer. I've always thought that it's where to me, it's that pickup culture and that street culture is where the player's lifestyle then gets to dictate what the culture looks like overall. So if the street is dictating what America's soccer culture looks like or Columbus culture looks like, that's when you have more people gravitating it because you have that identity that's streamlined. And to exactly your point, you're seeing the old heads from the young blood saying, yeah, I want to be like that. So that's such a valid point. I got a question. I got a few questions, but
okay.
Number one, it's Columbus Crew, right? It's not FC or SC.
Yeah, it's just Columbus Crew.
Okay, love that first of all because I don't understand why the MLS is FC SC, and whatever. What is your take? Is it soccer, football, or do you just kind of like?
That's a good question.
On it?
All right. So here's my question. Okay, like soccer itself is universal, right?
Yep.
Is to me, it's the same of like reading your room. It's what it is. It's what it needs to be, where it needs to be. So if I'm in America, most people are going to call it soccer. If I'm traveling, it's football. You know what I mean? I'm not going to force someone here to call it football if that's just not what they're used to.
Fair.
That's my personal take on it. If I read the room and it's a bunch of footballers, we footballing today. If it's soccer, we're soccer. It's for me, it's just a beautiful game, and it doesn't matter, to be honest.
You're a better person than I am because I take a hard stance on that.
That's not saying much.
And to me, so I'm from New York, and my uncle, the way he says soccer is soccer. And he doesn't put like the R at the end of it. And I think it sounds better. I think the problem for me, soccer kind of sounds corny, and that's my only problem with it. But I think like I like it so much because it pisses like England off. Like so to me, I'm like, all right, yeah, we're soccer, so that is what it is. But
yeah,
I just wish we were just a little bit more streamlined, just so we could all stand behind it. But to your point, that's the right way to do it. That's being a better human.
And I say like, and first of all, I don't say it's not me being a better human. I think from my POV, especially as I'm starting to like dive into diverse communities, right? If I'm in a space or say a mini pitch and I've got 5 kids who call it football, 5 kids who call it soccer, I'm not going to make that the line I want to draw the sand in. I'm more about, can we all get out here and play?
Yeah.
And that's again, that's just from my POV. I respect and love your POV because I love the banter. Look, please believe me, I love the banter. But from where I'm at, like if I'm going to use it as a unifying thing, that's just who I am.
Yeah.
Who I am.
You're a good dude, Ty. So I'm gonna switch pace, going back to Columbus, and because one thing I do think of, and this again, because there's no FC, because there's no SC, because of the history of Columbus, it definitely does stand alone in a lot of ways, where it's a great representation of what American soccer can be and what it is. Do you pay any tribute to the U.S. national team games being in Columbus? And when they are in Columbus, the fan base there, I'm always excited when they're in Columbus.
Yeah.
When we play down south in Texas, I'm like, all right, this is going to be, I don't know what the fans going to be, especially if we play, any Hispanic team or a Latino team. Like I feel like we're going to be outnumbered. But in Columbus, I'm like, this is where we're going to perform our best.
Yeah. Actually, we very intentionally this year chose to celebrate that storyline.
Cool.
Because there's right now you're seeing a lot of places be like, I think Kansas City called themselves like Soccer City USA. I know the headquarters moved to Atlanta, I believe. So they call themselves the home. So that's why we intentionally we recognize these spaces. We also love that the U.S. is starting to embrace it, but we also understand our role in it. So what we're calling ourselves is the heart of American soccer.
Love it.
So right now, a lot of the things, even with All-Star and us hosting a lot of these friendlies and Leagues Cup, and even us winning MLS Cup last year, we all say it comes from the heart of American soccer, and we're proud of that. We have that history. We have the first soccer-specific stadium. Technically the first city has 2 of them as well. Dos Acero happened here for several years. There's been quite a few. Even the women's national team has memorable games here. We like to say this is the heart of it, and that's how we pay tribute to it.
It's awesome.
Well, Todd, I just want to tell you, obviously I grew up around here in this area too, and as a lifelong Crew fan, I just want to thank you and all the work that you guys have put in. There's always been a tradition, of soccer, with the Columbus Crew, but as well as I do, the last few years, especially with the stadium and the success, there's a lot of buzz around town that I think wasn't here for a long time, and it's just awesome to see. So I appreciate that. And as you said, the All-Star game will be here in Columbus this July. Is there anything leading up to that, or can you tell us anything about what you have coming up here before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously going to shout out what Michael and I have been working on, but I wouldn't say this just for the audience. I think a lot of people get to just ingest the All-Star game from just the match. If they really want to, some people watch the All-Stars, the Skills Challenge, but it's one of my favorite events because it really is a week-long event celebrating community. And once it's done a really good job over the last couple of years of activating the entire cities of where these games are played. So starting from literally, I think it's Saturday before the match, all the way to Wednesday, there's something happening. There's something happening every place. There's going to be community give backs. There's going to be celebrating the people of this city who are doing good. There's going to be soccer tournaments. There's going to be music. All things that kind of like celebrate the sport through Columbus's lens. So I'm really excited to work with Michael here and having Soccer Rebellion come with their 3v3 tournament. Really, really excited to make that happen.
It's gonna be
Michael,
awesome.
what is that, Michael?
That's going to be July 22nd. Dick's Sporting Goods, right in the storefront of Dick's Sporting Goods. It's for the adult. It's for youth. It is exactly like Ty's. It's for the community. It's a big plot. It's a big block party. We have food trucks. We have DJ, MC, local artists, barber coming out, game day hair for girls. And Columbus Crew will be out there in full display. It's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited for it. Before we leave, Jay, I just want to ask Ty one thing. If you had to narrow Columbus soccer culture in maybe 1 to 3 words, what would they be? We put you on the spot, and if you can't answer it, cut it out. Use it.
No, I can think of 3 words. I would say proud. I would also say daring, right? And I would honestly, I would say, I want to say pizzazz because that sounds like too flashy, but like we always surprise people with like our quality. So let's go with quality. And within that, you'll see the flashes of just like the style and the pizzazz that we have. Like we're just quality as a club. It's fun. Like I watch a lot of the matches across the league and there's a lot of great teams doing a lot of great work. But for me, having the POV of where we came from to where we are now, chef's kiss.
Hey,
that's me saying it outside of like the audience. It's just someone who's been here around the scene, around the club for so many years. This is a really good time to be around the Columbus soccer culture.
Awesome, man. Well, Ty, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to you and Michael working together leading up to the All-Star game. Very excited to have the MLS All-Star game in Columbus this year with the Columbus Crew, and Soccer Rebellion will be there, so make sure you check that out. Follow us and the Soccer Rebellion everywhere on social media to get more information about how you can get involved with that. And Ty, thank you so much, man, for taking the time to talk to us and keep up the great work.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ty.